Hey everybody, welcome back to this awesome channel. Today we have an amazing, gorgeous, beautiful guest in California in stunning green, and she is on day 34 of drinking nothing but juice. She is on a juice cleanse. She has had epic results. And before we get into her results, I just want to read you guys the comment that inspired me to have beautiful Gabby on the channel and share her story today. So she left a message recently on my Instagram last week saying, I am on my 28th day of juice fast. So far, inflammation and pain in knees and ankles gone. Dry, cracked heels gone. Brain fog and loss of memory gone. And although I do not have labs on my thyroid, I was diagnosed hypothyroid. I have reduced meds from 45 milligrams to 15 milligrams with no issues. My digestion is healed. No gastritis symptoms or pain. I feel lighter, sleeping like I did before I had children, which, wow, I have kids, so wow. And my energy, I did not know I could experience this kind at my age of 51. Wow, Gabby. So, first of all, congrats. Amazing. What a story. And we have so much more to hear about. But is this your first juice fast? And what was the reason why you started to do this juice fast?
First of all, thank you so much for having me on your channel. Your channel has kept me going.
Amazing.
Really. And all the guests that you've had, I've just gotten so much nuggets of wisdom and advice to keep me going each day. This fast started as a 3-day fast. And to tell you the truth, I really don't remember what sparked the idea of doing a fast. I had attempted to do a fast back in August, and by the second day, I just couldn't do it. But I was so proud because at least I did 2 days of something that I have never attempted before. And this time I told my husband, I want to do a juice fast. Let's do it together. This is back February, mid-February.
Yeah.
So we went to Los Angeles and we got all our produce because it's a lot less expensive going to LA than it is here where I'm at in Temecula. So we went and we filled up the truck with carrots, cucumbers, just everything, right? And my husband and I started the fast. 3 days came and I said, you know what, Alonso, I think I could do another day. And he's like, well, I think I could do another day too. So then I said, okay, I'm going to do a 7-day fast, juice fast. And he's like, well, you know what, I'm just going to do a 4-day juice fast and then that's it. Okay, perfect. Well, day 7 came and my husband still did the juice fast with me. It came and it went. And I'm like, you know what, Alonso, I'm going to continue going. He's like, okay. Day 14. And I was like, okay. By day 21, I said, this is going to something different because I'm starting to see changes and shifts in my body that I had never felt before because of the 3rd day fast. Nothing very deep happened like in healing. I felt lighter and I felt, wow, I accomplished 2 days of fasting, but nothing to the point where literally I'm feeling the pain leave my body. And I didn't know that I could not have any pain. I thought, well, you know what? It's the wear and tear of my body. I'm 51. Of course, my knees are going to hurt. Of course, my ankles are going to hurt. I've been a runner. Of course, I have some kind of cartilage wear out on my knees. And I just kind of accepted that. I accepted that I have hypothyroid. Well, you know what? I take medication and I've been doing also other methods of healing my thyroid. But I figured, you know what? That's just the way it's going to be. I'll take my medication and I'll try to wean off. But every time I tried to wean off, I always had the symptoms. I was like, oh, you know what? I better go back. I better go back in my dose, right? Well, this time I'm not having the dosage that was prescribed to me, and I'm reducing it by 15%, and I'm thriving. And I'm like, wait a minute. If someone would tell me, Gabby, you're not going to have any inflammation, no pain in your knees and your ankles, your digestion is going to be perfect. Because I also had gastritis. I was diagnosed with Barrett's esophagus. I don't know if you know what Barrett's esophagus is.
No.
Well, Barrett's esophagus is a precursor to cancer of the esophagus.
Oh, wow. Scary.
Very scary. And it was because I had silent acid reflux. I had silent acid reflux. I had no idea that I had reflux. I never experienced heartburn. It was silent. So every time I would get acid come back into my esophagus, it would damage my esophagus. And because
Wow.
I never had any symptoms, it just continued and continued until it changed the wall of the esophagus. The cells have changed. So when I was diagnosed with Barrett's esophagus, it became very real to me. Like, I'm just like a step away from cancer. And
Wow.
I've been a healthy person. I've watched what I've eaten. I've been plant-based vegan for 11 years. And
Wow.
this is happening to me. I had ulcers. I had polyps. And they were diagnosed me with GERD. And so what was the solution? Take acid reducing medication. And I refused. I said, I can't, I'm already taking thyroid medication that I was told I was going to have to take for the rest of my life. I'm going to now take another medication for the rest of my life. And I said, no, I don't accept that. And this was the beginning of my quest to eating more raw and more whole plant-based foods.
Wow. Yeah.
And yes. So for me, my driving force was my health. So of course, now that I'm feeling this level of healing and just energy, I'm not going to, I'm not going to compromise. I'm not going
No.
to compromise anymore because I know how good this feels. So
Yeah.
why would I go back?
That's the
Right?
thing. That's why I live this lifestyle. Been raw for 7 years. Now that I see how clean it feels to be off alcohol, be off processed food, be off dairy, be off all the meat consumption I used to have and eat raw foods, real foods, living foods. Once you see how good this feels, you don't want to go back. Right. And okay, so how were you eating before, like you said, you developed some of these problems eating plant-based vegan, right? So
That's
what did your typical diet look like through the years while and before you developed these problems? Like what were you eating typically?
okay. So as you know, our health is a accumulation of things that we've done for the decades. So
Mhm.
I never had a really good, solid, healthy view of food. When I was very young, I was considered overweight. I
Mhm.
was always a plump little girl. And that went into my middle school. And
Mhm.
as you know, adolescence, it's a time where you're trying to, you want to blend in with everyone. You want to you don't want to stand out. You want to be part of a group in middle school,
Mhm.
right? Eighth
Yep.
grade. Well, I stood out because I was overweight. So, and with that comes the bullying and it comes the teasing, right? So then that led me to a very unhealthy view of food where I would restrict my calories. And so I felt that, wow, if I could control what I put in my mouth, it's going to reflect on my figure.
Mhm.
And if it reflects on my figure, then I won't have to be teased and bullied anymore. So then spun an eating disorder
Wow.
of anorexia. And that was very confusing because I didn't have the support that I needed. My parents didn't know how to help me. All they
Mhm.
saw that I was like not eating and I was withering away, and I could understand how it would be very frustrating for them. And so that's how it began, my relationship with food. It was now a yo-yo. It was never a
Mhm.
healthy, like, this is how you eat for your health. No, this was I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to control my calorie intake. And
So
then,
like even in okay, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
so when the body biologically, it's like you can only hold your breath for so long. The
Mhm.
body is going to need the calories. So then
Mhm.
there comes the purge, the binging, I'm sorry, the
Mhm.
binging. And so that's what it was. So if I wasn't on a diet, I was binge eating, and it was just up and down, up and down.
And this
So
extended beyond like teenage years, like even into your 30s and 40s?
this way. So once I got married, it was always that thing. It was always in order to lose weight, I must restrict, or I must, also binge in exercising.
Mhm.
And I would run. I would run and run and run. And that's why I always thought, well, that's probably why I have bad knees, because I always ran. I wanted to lose weight, I would run. I wanted to lose weight, I would restrict my calories. So let me forward. So once I had my son, this was back when I was 33 years old, I had my son. And after having my son, I experienced postpartum depression, psychosis postpartum depression, where I would see visions and I would see just like, I went into this deep depression. I couldn't sleep. I had anxiety. I had panic attacks and I couldn't eat. I couldn't do anything. And again, medication was introduced to me, antidepressant, anti-anxiety pills.
And I've heard those can be so hard to get off of. Fortunately, like I've gone through depressive periods in my life throughout my whole life since teenage years, and some really bad in my early 20s where people tried to get me to go on those medications. But I knew people around me that had been on them and they couldn't get off them. Like they've been on them for like decades. Like, so I think that they can be hard to get off of too.
Yes, they can. And I would rebound back and forth. Better, I would take them and I would get better. I get weaned off them. And then a couple of years later, I have to go back on them. And it was like, it was a constant, like, am I ever going to be off medication? It's like, I'm trying to do the best as I can to be healthy. But I always was like, either it would be antidepressants or the thyroid medication or the reducing acid medication. And I'm trying so hard to really be healthy and watch and be responsible with my body. But so, okay, let me go back. So in being on these medications, I said, I don't want to be, again, I always had this consciousness that there has to be another way. There has to be another way. My faith tells me that there is another way. Is this it? So I would always be researching, and I research, diet has something to do with me feeling better. The serotonin. Oh, it's a serotonin. I'm not producing enough serotonin. Okay, what is in food that has serotonin? And so I started to eat foods. And this is the first time I said connection with healing with what I eat. Instead of losing weight with what I eat, it was like, oh, wait, food could be used as medicine. So I started to, again, I was not plant-based back then, but I started implementing more fruits and more vegetables, more nuts, and I started to feel a lot better. And so I got weaned off the medication.
Wow.
And then everyone would be like, wow, you look so good for being postpartum or, after having a baby. What are you doing? And I would say, well, this is what I'm doing. I would write it down and I would give it to them. And they would see results. So then my husband's like, you should do something about this. You should kind of like make it a program, learn more. So hence started EverFit with Gabby. And so I would coach women and mothers that just gave birth to lose weight. And that spun a desire to come into this circle of wellness and health. But still, I still had that belief. I still had the belief that in order to be accepted, in order to be valued, you have to look a certain way. And that belief all started with when I was young, right? So, when you have that belief, everything attracts that belief. So no matter how hard I tried to be off medication or to be healthy, that belief is like, if you're going to do this, it's because you're not good enough. You don't have value. So I started learning about plant-based or vegan back in 2010. And funny to me is that I was introduced to vegan or, not eating any not eating any animal protein through Oprah.
No way. Wow.
Yeah, she had a show, and I don't remember the name. I don't want to butcher the name of the lady she had on her show, but it was basically her saying, she was educating her audience about the plant-based lifestyle. And
Maybe
she had
it was Annette Larkins or Karen Calabrese, maybe.
Probably.
Because they were, I know that Karen was on Oprah, Karen Calabrese. I've been to Chicago to interview her, and she was on Oprah. And so I think Annette Larkins was, but anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Karen. I think it was Karen.
Probably.
But she had her whole staff go plant-based. The cafeteria was set, everything plant-based, no animal protein. And she challenged her audience. Just do 5 days, no
Yeah.
meat.
Yeah.
8. And I said, I think I could do that. At that time, I lived in New York. And I said, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I did it. And it felt good. I was like, wow, this is really good. My husband's like, don't think that I'm going to do this because I'll eat what you make, but I'm still going to have my steaks. I'm still going to, no worries, no problem.
I think it's
But
just about trying it, just give it a try. And I think I get if people don't want to be full vegan, like I'm not dogmatic. I get that. Fine. You don't want to be raw vegan or vegan, but just like totally maybe scale back the consumption. I interviewed somebody today just before you. He did 31 days plant-based. You guys subscribe for that if you're not subscribed already. He was amazing. He went from like a heavy meat eater every meal meat to like 31 days fully plant-based. And the results were completely mind-blowing and shocking. So I think it's just like scaling back the excessive consumption, right? Or like you said, try 5 days, try a few days, just see how you feel. It's all about trying it.
lean into it.
Mm.
Lean into it. And so I was making really good dishes until he's like, wow, I'm feeling really good. He lost weight. And so he became vegan. So my whole family is vegan. And my son is older and he's doing his thing. And I told him, just like you said, I don't judge anyone. If they want to go ahead and they're going to do what they're going to do. But here at home, I cook nothing but plant-based. But that was
And your
when
husband became
my husband
vegan, you
too.
said? Wow.
Vegan.
And
We
he's
both.
enjoying it? Like he's thriving, he likes it?
Oh, he's thriving, yes. And he works at he's worked in different companies and corporations where it's all about the steakhouse, it's about taking them
Wow.
to the fancy restaurants. And they already know because he's been so consistent. They always prepare his vegan menu wherever he goes.
Wow,
Oh,
is for him to stay consistent when he's traveling with the guys like that's a whole other level. Like good for him. My husband, he travels for work. He's gone for like at least 6 weeks at a time usually and then back for like a couple days. He's like never home and he's on the road and they go out to eat. And he does not stick to this lifestyle because it's hard, right? So for your husband to do that, like bravo. That's
yeah,
amazing. And he's
yeah.
seen benefits?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. He doesn't take any medication. And it's so funny just to even say that. Oh, he doesn't take any medication. Of course. Shouldn't that be natural?
Yeah,
Shouldn't we thrive?
it shouldn't be natural. It's in my opinion and from the experience of all the people I interview, it's not natural to get older and have like a lot of these severe health problems and high blood pressure and thyroid problems and like eyesight problems and dementia and like all these things that happen and body aching, can't walk upstairs anymore. I think it's just been so normalized. Oh, you're getting older, right? This is what's going on. But from my experience and the power of plants and the power of being around the right people and getting exercise and doing all the right things, prioritizing sleep and all these health habits and working on your mind, like when people tend to do all those things, those problems tend to fall away, even if they're getting older in age, right? So like we need to denormalize the whole, like you're getting older, it's normal for you to get glaucoma or whatever. It's normal to have this or have this, right? So that's where amazing stories like yours come in and all of the amazing people that I'm blessed to interview.
Yes, and thank you. And they've been such an instrument, an inspiration to those of us that watch. Because
Right.
for me, it's like, wow, they're doing it. Maybe I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
I could do 3 days. Maybe I could do 7 days, right? And that just plants that little seed where now I'm at day 34, and
Look at
now I'm here.
you. Day
I'm like,
34. Way to go. Only juice.
yes, on day 30, I was very emotional because as you know, when we are light and we're not taking on the adrenaline, we're not taking the hormones, we're not taking all of what life was in that animal, we become just us. We become
Mm,
like who we are, who we came here. We don't have any layers of that, of another living creature, creation. So it becomes you're vulnerable. You're kind of like naked. And so the emotions just kind of like, and
mm.
then when you're doing this fast, you don't use food as a coping mechanism. So it's like, it's like, oh shoot, what do I do? Right? So you have to deal with those emotions. So I've been very emotional, very sensitive, very vulnerable. And on day 30, I started to cry because I
Mhm.
was, my husband's like, what's the matter? I go, I can't believe I did 30 days.
Wow.
This is something that outside of me giving birth, this is something that I'm so proud of myself that I have accomplished this, and, I see the guests that you have 365 days,
Well, yeah.
180, right?
Sarah Erica, hers was a extreme case. She was told she wasn't going to live very long, and the doctors didn't know what else to do. I'll try put her video down below. It's just so empowering. It gave me goosebumps. She was in a wheelchair before her experience. At the end, she was running a marathon. So it's just like what she's totally transformed her whole life. So wow. And how has this transformed your life? Like, what are maybe a list of the whole benefits and like the positives so far of the experience?
I know, right? I've been all over the place. It's been
No,
like
it's good. No, I love
a
it.
buffet
It's good.
table.
No, you haven't at all.
Okay, great. Well, the benefits, like as you mentioned, the inflammation in my knees and my ankles.
Mhm.
A passion of mine has always been running. I love running. It's just a way of meditation, of just kind of like being in the zone. And I couldn't run anymore because the pain was so excruciating. And I did a year of running every single day. When I
If you're
started,
used to that running and that runner's high and then you can't run anymore, that's really devastating, right?
it is because you see, I feel like every time I ran, I felt God's pleasure. Oh,
Wow. You just have a way with words, girl. I'm like,
well,
whoa.
I just felt his pleasure. And so for me not to be able to run anymore, it just like, it was really, I don't want to say sad, well, I'm very grateful for my legs and I'm very grateful
Mhm.
for other things I could do, but it was just something that just gave me pleasure, knowing that it gave God pleasure. So when I started eating plant-based back in the beginning, I did venture into eating raw. I did start back in 2014, I started to eating raw. And that's when I felt the healing. When I was like, oh, I could run now. And I said, you know what? For my birthday, I'm going to give myself 1 year of running 1 mile every day. So I did a running, what did I call it? Running streak, or I don't know what I
Mhm.
call it, where I would run every single day for 1 whole year as a gift to myself as my birthday gift. And I did. But at the end of that 1 year, I felt it on my knees. I
Mhm.
really did feel it. And so
Yeah.
after that, I couldn't run anymore. So for me not to feel that pain anymore, Gillian,
Mhm.
that's, you have no idea how amazing that is. My ankles would always hurt. So every single morning, I would wake up with foot pain. And I just took it like that's just the way it's going to be. So
Mhm.
that's number one. Number two, my stomach, like the gastric, my the the burning sensation. If I could explain it, it's like you chewed glass and the glass is cutting your stomach.
Jeez.
It's such a painful sensation
Wow.
when you have gastritis, like this horrible feeling. And my digestive system, I would always, even I ate such high volume fiber, right? So much fiber, but I always felt like I had to be going and emptying, going and having bowel movements.
Mhm.
And bowel movements are really good. You want to have a bowel movement every time you go to the bathroom, but I felt like I was constantly going to the bathroom, constantly going to the bathroom and having bowel movements. I felt like I was always backed up.
Mm.
It was such an uncomfortable feeling. And so right now, it's amazing. I feel light. No, I'm still having bowel movements, by the way.
Wow.
Day
On day 34, right?
Yeah, day 18, I go to the bathroom, and I think this is too much information, but you know
No,
what?
it's nothing's too much on this channel.
Yeah,
I'm
this is
telling
the
you.
kind of channel we talk about bowel movements and
And it's a
parasites.
safe channel. People, I am just so blessed. The viewers attracted to this channel are just the friendliest people out there, and we like all the details.
Okay,
So go ahead.
but so I went to the bathroom, and I just felt like I was gonna go urinate, right? And then I felt something. I was like, "This is interesting. I feel like something's coming out of me, but I'm not
Mhm.
pushing." So I kind of like, I'm like, "What's going on?" And I see something. I'm like, my intestines are coming out. That's the first thing I thought. My intestines are coming out. because it was like a rope.
Wow.
And I was like, what is going on?
So a lot of like old waste coming out.
I don't know if that was my mucoid plaque.
Yeah. Was it like you see some people with like these huge, like,
It was
yeah.
like it was like the indent, like the mold of my intestines. So it was like this, and it was thin, and it was like a rope. It wasn't
Wow.
like I pushed or like a bowel movement. It was just like it was coming out.
And did you feel, some people say they release stuff like this and then feel like so euphoric and like good after. Did you feel like that or no?
What it got me to continue going.
Yeah. And that
I
was day 18. And look
that
at
was
you, like, yeah.
it was day 18. So
And you're
I,
glowing. You're radiating. You really are.
oh, Gillian, thank you.
Yeah.
It's it has to do a lot. Also, you mentioned something earlier about, the mind. And it has a lot to do with the mind, because I really honestly think that if it wasn't for the shift in my mind, I wouldn't be able to be doing this.
Mm.
It's a mind change that I had. It's a perspective that has changed, that instead of looking at the glass half full, I see it. I mean, it's half empty. I see it half full.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a shift that I've had to learn how to manage my mind. And because I'm learning how to manage my mind, I could take on these challenges. I could be like, seeing your channel instead of saying, I could never do that, or even watching your channel, having an interest to watch your channel and seeing an interest of how other people heal and how these people are supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
The people that you interview are supernatural. They are the 5%. I like to say everyone else is the 95%. And these people are the 5%, where we're doing things that the average person doesn't do.
Yeah,
And
no,
in
anyone
doing it,
can do it. But yeah, your mindset has changed. And I feel like on a juice fast, that just effortlessly happens. Like I did 37 days once. If you guys watch my channel, you've heard about that. That was before I started YouTube. It was in 2019. But even through the years, I've done a few, like 7 days, 14 days, whatever. And my mind just gets so quiet, like so quiet. It's almost like you're just naturally in a state of meditation all the time. And it's almost like you just release resistance, and I know we have like emotional moments on these cleanses too, but at least from my experience, it's just the mindset just naturally is just so easy and effortless, right? On the juice fest. Has that been your experience for the most part?
absolutely. And as I mentioned earlier about day 30, when all my emotions are just so light and, just out,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm processing them. Whereas before something would happen, well, I could just, cope with eating, cope with going shopping, cope with anything, right? Except dealing with the emotion. And now I see the emotion. I'm like, okay, where's this coming from? Where
Mm-hmm.
did this stem from? When else have I felt like this in the past? And I pinpoint it. Oh, it was when this happened. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Are you the same person? Are you there? Are you that little girl? And no, I'm not that little girl. How is this being represented? How is this being, is it something that I'm seeing? Is it something that I'm hearing? Or is it something that I'm feeling in my body? And I try
Mm-hmm.
to figure out, how am I representing this? Oh, it's something that I'm seeing. I'm seeing that I was bullied. I'm seeing that they're throwing rocks at me, you know? And what did I need? I needed my mom there. I needed my dad there. Okay, put your mom and dad there. Because is, the brain is so, it doesn't know whether it's objective. It doesn't know whether it's happening or it's happening in your mind. Real
Mm-hmm.
time or
True.
not, just by your
Mm-hmm.
imagination, right?
Yeah.
So if I want to imagine that my mom was there or my dad was there to help me at that time when I was being bullied, why not? If it's going to serve my body. So I
Mm-hmm.
just imagine that my mom's there and she's there to protect me. And I'm not kidding you that when that happens, it's like, oh, I don't feel that anymore. I don't feel
Wow.
that emotion
So
anymore.
maybe you've like totally worked through that then. This has also been a process of like working through the traumas?
Absolutely. And I owe all this type of learning from Kent and Heather McKee. They are, she has a book called the Metanoia Method. Metanoia means repentance or
Mm-hmm.
the mind change. And through her books and her courses, I've been studying about the mind and the duality of the mind, how we are conscious and the mind is consciousness and subconsciousness. And I know that you have some of your guests that talk about conscious and subconsciousness. And many of us don't know that. We don't know why we do what we do.
True.
But they've been so programmed in us when we were young that that's just what we have within. And even though consciously we don't want to do those things and we question, why do I always do that? Or why do I always get sensitive? Or why I would, it's like because they're programmed. And so we have very good skills on how to do that. We have very good skills on how to be judgmental. We have very good skills on how to feel shame, how to feel fear, how to be insecure. They're just skills that we've learned. And our body, our brain does it, and it protects. It's like, okay, this is for her, even though it's negative, because the brain is objective, doesn't know, then this must be something that we do. So we become very skillful at being judgmental, at being fearful and shame. And so when I learned these concepts and how to, take a hold of my thinking, this is when the world opened up to me. And this is when I was like, I'm going to do that fast. They did it. I'm not going to do 365 days, but maybe I could do 3 days. And that's just up to where I'm at right now.
Insane. Amazing. Did you ever think you'd make it this far?
No, honestly, because I've been doing mind change, I would take it and I had this personality, A type personality, the all or nothing. And that all starts with trying to always feel like you're not enough. So you're always trying to accomplish something. You want to be perfect at what you do. I would say if I can't do X amount of days, I'm not going to do it. So I wouldn't even do it. But because now it's like, okay, if I do 3 days, awesome. If I do 4 days, awesome. And I wouldn't feel guilty or like I'm a failure.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I changed that belief in me, that file that was imprinted in me when I was very young.
Yeah, belief is everything.
It's everything, Gillian. And if I could just put a little seed in your viewers, it's like, think of it this way. When we were born, we didn't have analytical, we couldn't analyze, we didn't have the reasoning, or the part of the brain that is involved with reasoning and analyzing, which is the prefrontal cortex, it wasn't developed. So we had to take on the beliefs of those that were raising us, our parents, our caregivers. And we know that no one's perfect. So how they experienced their life now became our experience. And we had no choice. So if my father, if his belief was poverty and lack, then guess what? It becomes my belief. But I never experienced lack. I've never experienced the Great Depression, but yet I'm holding what belonged to him. And now I see my world through his lenses. And so because we're so open, our subconscious is so open that everything that we're exposed to goes in. And then when we develop our consciousness, well, then our consciousness now picks from that. And we do things that we're like, why am I thinking that I have no money? Why am I always thinking that I'm not good enough? It's because those things were programmed in us. And logically, when you reason, it's like, I'm just going to use lack and poverty, right? Well, I know that if I work, I'm going to have enough. But it's like, what's enough, right? It's because you have that belief of lack that you got from somebody that was raising you.
Yeah, and there's ways we can get away from that. Like, because a lot of us are raised with that, right? There's ways to change those beliefs. Like for me, I've really liked like affirmations, like listening to stuff when you sleep. Because for some people, it can just feel like too much work otherwise. For me, I've really liked like sleeping through the night to like affirmations, like from ones I find on YouTube and stuff like that. Is that something you do, or do you have any other tips or tricks of how we can change our beliefs? A lot of us have like not so great beliefs around like love, money, our worth, our self-worth, all these different things.
Absolutely. Well, one thing that I want to share is that the conscious mind, which is the one right now that we're talking, and I'm taking in what you're saying, and you're taking in what I'm saying, doesn't speak the same language as the subconscious. So sometimes, even though we, I am beautiful, I am whole, and we say all these information, but if the belief is, no, 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 darling, no, this is who you really are, right? This is the belief, this is who you really are. And so because this is who you really are, you're going to see through filters of that. So everything that is contrary to that belief, you're going to ignore, and you're only going to pay attention to what aligns to that belief. So even though you're like, I'm going to be rich and I live in abundance, but if the belief is lack, you're only going to attract, you're only going to focus on things that are of lack. So your body needs to feel it and be aligned with your mind. So what I do is, should I use abundance? Because
yeah, abundance is a great one to use.
Okay. So for me, it's like, it's not me saying like, money flows to me in large quantities and, in a continual basis. I could say that till I turn blue, but if my body doesn't believe it, then it's not true. So what I do is and since the brain is objective, I like to visualize it. And I like to see that I already have what I need, that I don't lack anything. And the moment that I say I want, I already lack. So we don't use that word want here, right?
You're speaking my language. I know. This is also true. Yeah.
So I visualize myself the intent, what I want, and I see myself doing it and I get excited about it. I make myself feel the emotions of like, oh, wow. Like I'm there, and my brain, I always say, like, if you could hold it in your head, you could hold it in your hand. Yeah. If you could hold it in your head, you could hold it in your hand. And so that's how I do the affirmations. That's how I meditate. I'm like, I see it in my mind. I visualize it. I'm there. I'm walking it. I'm doing it. I am that person. And my body's like, oh, wow, she is that person. So then I feel it. And then that's when the synchronicities happen. That's when the blue jay, that's when I was in middle school. That's the type of things that happen because, I don't know how that works, but I do know that that's faith because I'm seeing it. And faith is just basically, seeing things before they happen. That's basically what faith is. So I'm seeing it, and I don't know if I'm shaking something in that realm outside of my time, this time and space, this three-dimensional world, where it's like, shaking things up, where it's like, ploop.
And this is kind of the art of manifesting, right? It is like manifesting. Like when you're doing that, you're putting in the effort too. Like it'd be easy to just go on autopilot. And if you come from a background of lack, to just think, oh, I'll never have enough. I'm not enough, blah, 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 right? But you're putting in like the effort to visualize, to feel. So do you, as somebody who clearly feels strongly about that and believes in all that, which I do too, do you have any examples that come to mind of something that like you've put in the work like that and then you've manifested it? Like you've gotten rid of the belief, boom, there's the new house, there's the new lover, there's that after putting in the work like that?
The result, yes. And so you see, for many years, Gillian, I was told that manifesting is not good, because I grew up in a very Christian home. My father is a pastor.
See, I believe in God and manifesting, and then like he helps us and we have to take action and help ourselves. I don't think it's like one or the other, because sometimes if I talk about manifesting, I'll see people comment too and be like, you don't get it. It's all God. But God is everything. God is love. I am like 100% know that there's God and all that, but I still believe in like the manifesting and me putting in the work and taking the action to like sort of like coexist together, if that makes sense or somehow. I don't know. I'm not God, so I can't explain it all, but that's what I think.
You see, manifesting is biblical. Because basically in the Bible, I believe it's in Hebrews, it says it gives God pleasure when we pray this way, like if you got it. And you think about it, like just as our parents, how do we get when our kids believe in us? Like we haven't given it to them and they're like, I'm gonna go to
Mhm.
Disneyland. Yay. How does that make you feel? Doesn't it
Mhm.
like, whoa, what, they really trust on us. They really trust in me. The same thing with God, you see? And there's so many scriptures in the New Testament, like ask and it shall be given to you. You tell that mountain to move in
Mm.
this into the ocean and it will move. You know, faith is believing in something that you don't see. Hello, I don't see Jesus, but I believe in him. How is that gonna make him feel? I mean, and there's a story in the Bible where it says that Thomas didn't believe that it was Jesus after he resurrected and he came down. And he goes, Thomas, touch my hand. Look at that's me. And then Jesus says, oh, blessed are those that haven't seen me and believe in me, you know? And so this is all part of this whole other
Mhm.
this spiritual world. There's no
Mhm.
separation of it.
I agree.
No, there's no separation, but I think it has a lot to do with fear.
Mhm.
Fear, but it is all the same. So when I pray like it's done. And Jesus's prayer says that may your will be done as it is on earth as it is in heaven. You know, it's
Mhm.
not me just believing, and it's gonna happen here.
And they
And
say
if I,
pray like Thanksgiving, right? Like thankful that you already have, not
it's,
like, please give me this or please I want this or, when you're going through a hard time asking for something, praying more from a place of like thank for it already happening, right?
yes, and that is the key. Because I used to pray like pleading, like, Lord, why do I have this depression? Why can't I sleep? Why? Always questioning him. God, why, right? Or I remember one time when I had my son and I was going through that horrible depression. You know what I said? I said, so this is how I end it. Because I really thought I was gonna have to go to a psych ward. And I would
Mhm.
say, this is how I end it. Everything that I had a lovely home, a loving husband, a beautiful bouncing baby, right? And it was like I always felt like it was going to be taken away from me, that I
Mm.
wasn't good, that I didn't deserve that. And when this happened to me with the postpartum, I said, oh, so this is how it ended. And now I can look back and I'm like, oh, because that was stemming from a belief that I had.
Mhm.
But now my thought is when I go into prayer, it's not like pleading. Now it's like, thank you. Thank you. Thank you that I'm going to get that job. Thank you that my husband's going to get that job. Thank you. Thank you that my son's.
And like thank you for the bad times too. Thank you for the hard times too, because there's usually something really good coming out of that, even if at the time we don't see it. Or usually it's like pushing us somewhere else that we're meant to be. And then we'll be like, oh man, wow, I'm glad that happened, even though you don't realize it at the time, or it's propelling you like somewhere else, or there's like a huge lesson in it, or it's strengthening you and like changing you into who you're meant to be, right?
Absolutely. Romans 8:28 says, and he works all things for the good of those that love him and who are called according to his purpose. I don't know if it's 8:28 or 8:24, but it's like all things he works out.
Mm-hmm.
All things. The bad. You see, my mother has dementia. She was
Mm.
diagnosed with dementia. I mean, my husband and I had seen symptoms and like, what's going on? And my sisters were in denial. And they had for good reason.
Mm-hmm.
And when my mother was official diagnosed, she has dementia, I went into a little bit of a panic. Oh, what if I'm going to get dementia? What if this is genetic? No, my mom's not going to recognize me anymore. And I went to that. But then with my metanoia method, with the mind change, I changed my perspective. And, God works all things for the good of those that love him and who are called according to his purpose. Perhaps my mother needed to not be here because the pain of losing her brothers would have been too much.
Mm-hmm.
The pain of losing everyone around her. I had uncles that passed away one after another, right? Her brothers. Maybe that would have been too much for her. So I shift my perspective and to singing, oh, she couldn't remember me. And now what I do is like, you know what? I have my mom to hug her, to kiss her, to feed her. She's digressing into a little girl. So
Mm-hmm.
mother was always like very like we would say this saying in Spanish, chiquita pero picosa, tiny but spicy. And
Mm.
that's how my mom was. My
Yeah.
father 6'3". My mom was like almost barely like 5 foot, but she was like she ruled the home.
Yeah.
And you see my mom the way she is. I get to take care of her. I get to hug her and kiss her and feed her. And she plays with her cards and she plays with blocks. She's in a place where now she sit down and I could spend time with my mommy. So I look back and like, if I would have had that perspective of, oh, my mom, it would have been completely different. It's all about changing perspective. So you're right. So even the bad things, we give thanks because we don't know, his thoughts are above our thoughts. His ways are above our ways. So we just have to sit back, trust, have faith. And I could see how things manifested in my life, how he creates this beautifulness around me.
Wow. Beautiful. Amazing. Did you expect? So this experience has obviously been a spiritual one for you too, right? Like deeply spiritual. That's probably my favorite part of when I do a juice fast. And I think most people on any type of fast, not all the time, but a lot of time will say it becomes like highly spiritual, right? That's clearly the case here, right? It sounds like you're a very spiritual person anyway, but this has kind of elevated it to the next level, would you say?
I would say that my relationship with God, I would always focus on what you shouldn't do. Oh, you shouldn't do that. Or what, all this. And almost kind of like dangling over like the pit of fire, right? Like dangling, like what else can you do? Like and I'm like, wait a minute. It's done. I just have to sit back and enjoy it. I can't do anything about, I'm not Jesus, but I know that he did it for me. So I just have to sit back and enjoy it. So my view of God now is of I want to live like he says, that he came to give life and give it in abundance. I want that abundance. That when he said, that I'm going to do greater things than he did when he was here. Yeah, I want to do greater things. So now it's like, I'm focused on all that versus all the other, like, you're going to go to hell and this and that. Because of my mind change, I only focus on that.
Yeah.
Came to the world not to condemn the world, but to give, to save the world. So I'm parked there. So can you imagine the joy that I feel in my heart where I just do this juicing? And then I started doing yoga, and I had stopped doing yoga a long time ago because, oh no, you can't do yoga. That is not, Christian like and all this.
Oh, really?
And,
Yeah.
And so then I started doing yoga again because again, just like running, it gave me joy. It gave me pleasure. So I started doing yoga, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this one pose, crazy pose, for me at least, crow, where you're balancing on two arms. I don't know. You're familiar with that one?
No, I've only done yoga like twice in my life. I'm not an expert
Okay.
at it, but I know there's so many benefits. I wish I was like this master yoga person, but no.
Well, there's this pose where you're kind of balancing with your two arms and you're, suspended, flying, flowing up. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. I don't know. I put out the information. I have all the teachers and all the guides to support me in learning how to do this crow. This is an example of when you say, has anything that you've prayed for and manifested showed in your, crow ability? Well, this is it. So I came across my beautiful friend. She is Banana Blondie Yoga, and we came across, and we've become friends. And I've shared with her. I said, I want to learn how to do crow. I want to learn how to do crow. And so she created this little video, on her bananablondieyoga.com. She has a yoga membership. And she created this video for me. She goes, this is going to be for you step by step to do crow. So
Wow.
afraid, I wasn't scared. I'm like, I'm going to do it. So I saw myself again, like visualizing myself up in crow. And I said, okay, if I don't do it, all right, I'm having fun. I don't care. And lo and behold, Gillian, I released myself and I did crow.
Incredible. Yay. Way to go. That's amazing.
And so for those viewers that know about yoga, that's kind of like a little bit of complicated pose. And I did it. And just like I did that, and I'm doing this fast, sky's the limit of what I'm going to do. I have so many ideas. And you know that when you open yourself like that, just thoughts come in your mind that are not from experiences, and they're not from memories, they're coming from somewhere else. And I have all these dreams and all these desires and all these projects that I'm going to take bites out of. I'm going to take bites out of.
Wow, incredible. Look at you. Such a successful juice fast. I'm just wondering, so when you first started, a lot of people will wonder too, like how long did it take you to feel good? Because I think for me, usually it takes like once you start a fast, or for a lot of people, usually takes at least like 3, 4 days. So I'm glad you were able to make it past that, because then that's usually, I think, when people start feeling good, or worst case, like around a week. But do you remember how long it was before you started feeling good? And have you ever had moments on this where you wanted to give up?
Yes, day 3, I had really bad headaches.
Mm,
Like if I had like an iron rod, I mean, I'm just gonna give you like an analogy. Like if I had a rod go right into my eye, it was so
wow.
bad. But I knew that it was a detox. I knew it was just me detoxing. And then the other day 11, it was like that's when I wanted to give up. I remember I was swinging in this little swing that we were having right here, and I told my husband, I'm having such a bad day. And it was more not physical, it was more mental. I battled more mentally, to tell you that physically,
Hmm.
I heard that some of your viewers, they get tired and they go through all kinds of withdrawals. But mine was more a mental battle. Like the battle was in the mind for me.
Hmm.
And daily living, so I made I would go onto your channel and just look at your different guests and just kind of get lost and see what they did and while they did it. And I'm praying that this video could do the same for someone that's also on their fast or anything that they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Your channel got me through a lot,
Good.
but
And for anybody watching and wondering too, I do have a juicing playlist. So I'll add this to that, but there's a whole playlist, probably more juice fasting interviews than you can find like on any other channel probably. So there's a whole playlist. I'll try link it at the end of this video. Same with the girl, Sarah Erica, who did 365 days. I'll try link that, but if you guys are looking to upgrade your juicing game or get the best juicer on the market, I'm here to offer you a big discount on my favorite juicer, the juicer you see every influencer use, the Nama J2. This is my personal favorite juicer, the Nama J2, and they've also recently come out with accessories which you can add on to your Nama J2 purchase, and that's a large 3-liter hopper, a large 3-liter pitcher, and the pulp catcher here, so you can literally juice so much at once. I'm gonna make a big batch of orange juice right now. It makes the cleanest juice. Okay, look how much juice we just made at once. The best quality juice. This juicer is incredible, and you get so much more juice from your produce too, so it's totally worth the money. I cannot recommend it enough. This will just make you get healthier, feel great, live your best life. Look at that. So delicious. Now back to the amazing podcast. Okay, so what was your typical protocol? People will wonder, because this has been a success story. You've done great. You're vibing high, and it's been a really great experience for you. So we want to know what you've done. So, like, what has a day in the life looked like? How much have you been drinking? What juicer? Have you been preparing ahead of time, drinking them all fresh, or buying some store bought? All that sort of stuff.
Okay, so I start my day. I'm going to break it down. I start my day with a meditation. And then I drink warm water. And then I don't drink my first juice until 11 o'clock. And in the beginning, it was always a green juice. But I have to tell you now, towards the end, I'm like, in order for me to make it, I'm going to have juices that I enjoy. Like the orange grapefruit, and like which one is my other favorite? Pineapple with carrots and ginger. But so I start with so I tried so hard to take 4 liters. I really did. And because I wasn't working at the time, I struggled to get 4 liters, so I would get 3 liters. And it would always be 1 green juice. That's the first juice that I would have. And then a couple of hours later, I would have an orange juice with grapefruit. And then at the end, I would have something with either pineapple with sweet potatoes or pineapple with carrots. And
Sweet potatoes are actually delicious juiced, I just have to
they make
say.
it,
Some people might be watching thinking that's nasty, but they're actually really good juiced. I think I do them with like carrots, sweet potato, and apple. It's
Mhm.
really good. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna try that one today. It makes the juice gives it like a creamsicle, like a creamy taste.
Yeah, and the key is if you make a batch, give it to somebody and don't tell them there's sweet potato in it, not to be
Yeah, yeah.
shady or something, but I did that with my cameraman once, he tried it, or it was somebody. They were like, "Oh, this is so good," but then if they hear there's sweet potato in it, they might be like, "Ugh," but it's really good,
Yeah.
it's creamy and it's good. Okay, sorry, carry on.
That's okay. And just recently I work at a wellness center where it's a detox center.
Wow.
Right? It's a detox center. And so I'm up and down and doing housekeeping and I'm helping, get the whole grounds ready for the guests that are going to come and do their detox. So I'm constantly burning calories. So I just upped to 4 liters just recently.
Mhm. I think that's the
Yeah.
key. You have to have enough calories. For me, like I drink like the big, I don't think this is quite 32 ounce, 24 ounce, but usually I drink like 8 32 ounces a day and coconut water. And I'm just like, I need a lot of calories, but I've also have two little kids and I'm like doing a million things in a day. But everybody's got to listen to their body. And I think if some people are tired and fatigued and like not thriving on it, maybe sometimes it's because you're just not taking in enough. I like to feast, not fast, take in a
Yes.
lot, but yeah,
Yes.
but everybody's different. A lot of people are like, I can drink no more than 4. Like you got to just listen to your body, right? And listen to your body if you feel like stopping too. If it feels like, hey, this is the time to stop on day 3 or 5 or 10 or whatever. Listen to your body and stop, even if you're not going to reach like your goal of like however many days, right?
Yes. That's when it becomes unhealthy. Like I have to reach, day 55 or day 6.
Yeah.
It becomes unhealthy. It becomes like, okay, what are you really doing? What are you really trying to distract yourself from that you're using juicing? Because sometimes we could use healthy things. We could use the Bible. We
Hmm.
could use religion. We could use, healthy eating to divert us to what really is going on.
And
We
okay, so what do you have to say? Because people might say, well, this is like an eating disorder, juice fasting or eating, clean eating, raw eating, or this is an eating disorder. Just be in moderation and stop this. Just eat healthy, live a little bit, and be in moderation. What do you have to say? Because people do say like these extremes are actually eating disorders.
Yes, I would say that they are in the 95% because you don't know you don't know me. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know my struggles. So it's
Hmm.
very easy for you. I would say, ooh, you're doing judging, but you have good reason to do judging because you were probably judged. So what you could only give what you have within. See, you could only give what you have within. So
Yeah.
I like to use this analogy, and Heather McKee uses this in her book where it says, an apple tree produces apples. And even though it wants to produce a pear, it really wants to produce a pear. Does that make sense? No, because it's an apple tree. That's what it's going to produce. So if somebody is judging me, that's what they have. They produce, that's what they produce, judging.
And wow, when you said that, then they were probably judged. That just really hit something with me. When people are judging, they were probably judged, like growing up or somewhere along the line through their life, right?
Because
Mm-hmm.
how do they know what judging is?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You do only what you know. If I were to call you, Gillian, you're a big green alien with purple dots, you'd be laughing like,
Yeah.
right? Right? But if you had any insecurities about being purple or whatever, you'd be like, it would trigger something within you.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody is judging, it's because that's what they have. They were probably judged when they were younger. They were
Mm.
probably, shamed when they were younger. They were probably, whatever it is that they're giving you. So I just listen. Those people I really just don't entertain because, you're just how can I say, you're losing your energy on something that, that's not going to be
Yeah,
beneficial.
I try not to judge, you know? I think we obviously live in a world where there is like a heck of a lot of judging going on. You can see that when you just go onto social media. But it's like everyone's on their own journey, even for diet, even like as a raw vegan, I try not to judge, you know? And it's like I had Dr. Elizabeth Lambert on. She's all about like clearing energy and energy work and healing and stuff. And she even says like judging, it vibrates at like such a low frequency too, right? We want to lift our frequency and vibe higher. Then we're like sort of tuned into more positive thoughts and therefore creating a better life, creating the right life, creating the life of our highest self. And we're judging like it lowers our frequency and just hurts us essentially. We're on a lower frequency, we're thinking worse thoughts, we're attracting worse things. It's just toxic, right?
It's really toxic. And again, we need to really take care of our thoughts, because thoughts are like seeds, like little seeds. Every thought is like a seed, and our mind is a garden. So when you plant that little seed, that thought, whether it be negative or positive, it's going to grow and it's going to manifest in as a result in your current reality. So Gillian, I literally could see someone and I could see their mind. I could by their results, I could see the way of thinking, their beliefs. So that gives me compassion, because I would never tell somebody that's blind, can't you see? Can't you see this is green? That would be so harsh on me. Because they can't. So it gives me more compassion. So when somebody starts to say, oh, you know what, that's an eating disorder. Oh, you know, why can't you just be moderate? I just have compassion on them, because I see the results. If they're unhealthy, right, and they're telling me, oh, you know, that's it, I see the results.
And it's like they say, somebody said, I forget how it goes, probably sounds way better than this, but if we understood everything, we would judge nothing. So like if we understood sort of like, because even we could judge them for judging us, right? But if we understand, if we knew everything that person went through in their life, we probably wouldn't feel judgments for them. Just like if they're judging one of us right now, if they understood and walked through our whole life with us and knew everything we went through, they would not have judgments, right? If we just truly understood everything. I don't know if that came across right,
No,
if you
no,
understand what I mean.
I
Yeah.
completely, it's called compassion.
Mm-hmm.
It's called compassion because you don't know what I've been through, right? You don't know how well, you don't know how much pain I'm in. And that this is giving me freedom to run and to, you know, or whatever that is, right? So why would you, you know, you haven't been in me.
Yeah.
And I haven't been in you to see why you're, you know, how harsh your life has been, how your caregivers judged you, and how you were always, you know, belittled or whatever it is that was causing you to now put that out on me. So when somebody says nasty comments, and sometimes I read the comments that people leave on some of the influencers that I follow, and I was like, wow, that's sad, because that's what they have within them. They can't produce something nice because that's the seeds that they have within them. And so what they sow, they reap. Right? What you have within you. So it's really sad, the situation that the world is in, but I feel like channels like yourself, right? You create this, how can I say, you create this, the possibility for me to have beautiful thoughts. When you have people that say certain things, at certain concepts, it's like, oh, wow, that's beautiful. And it causes me to think something beautiful. And then so that little seed grows in my mind, and it helps me. You know, Philippians, there's an Old Testament, Philippians 4:28, where it says, you know, think on these things that are lovely, things that are pure, that are true, that are noble, praiseworthy, and excellent. Think these things. Park your head in these, because, you know, that's what's going to create the abundance. That's what's going to create the
And you know,
health.
I feel like another way to do that, because sometimes we can be in a funk, like not moving our bodies enough or things like that. And I attended a Tony Robbins seminar once, and he said, in order to change your life, you change your state. You know, you get moving, you literally change your state. That's why he has people get up and like do all these movements and like screaming and these exercises right in the, you want to come say hi? My daughter's here. She wants to crash her interview to say hi, but you
I'm
get
sorry.
moving. And it's
Yes.
even like, I've been doing 60 minutes at the gym for 5 days in a row, and I've noticed a huge difference just changing, you know, your state. It changes your life, and then it automatically just changes those thoughts, right?
Absolutely. And that goes back to changing the state of mind. So
Yeah.
if you change your state of mind of being that person that's successful, that's abundant, your body's already there. You're already in that state of mind. You're in that state of mind of being in abundance, of being in love, of being in health. So now your body just follows,
Yeah.
because the brain is a master. That's the master. The body's a slave, right? So, you know,
True.
yeah. So if you're in that state, you're already there, right? Then your body's just going to follow.
Yeah.
I see myself in crow, visualize my crow. So my body's just going to follow. It's going to do whatever it takes to support me getting in crow.
Yeah. And would you say that that's been sort of that accomplishment has been the best part of the juice fast? Or like what comes to mind when I ask you, like, what's been the best part of all of this so far on day 34?
Coming out here.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. To be able to share my story with someone, to be able to be a blessing to somebody, that in itself is like, wow. You know,
True.
and I would like to say, oh, that I don't feel pain, or that I feel like my thyroid is healing, or that I lost some weight. But and honestly, it's to be able to serve someone by sharing my story. Because when you're in a desperate situation, all you want to hear is that somebody overcame and that you're going to overcome.
That's right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Isn't that like when you're going through a hard struggle, or even like, for example, oh, I'm 34, am I going to be able to make through 40? I go 34-day fast, and I go and I see who's posted about their 34th day in
You're
a
so
fast.
right. This is true about everything, even because I went through a bad separation a couple years ago. We've been trying to work on our marriage since, but essentially, like we had our dream life before, 2 houses, and then we just sold everything to move to Costa Rica, then split up. We literally like lost everything, basically, pretty much. Our lives just, and then the divorce and all these things, starting over at like 40. So you're right, because then all I wanted to see was like, okay, like I'm starting from nothing with 2 kids at 40. This is like insanity, right? According to my beliefs, because I think I should have such and such by now. So then all I would want to watch are videos of people who became like highly successful or turned their life around, and they're like their 40s or 50s or 60s. So you're right. And then it makes you realize maybe sometimes you experience those dark times so you can be a light and you can help somebody else like you're doing in this video, after getting through those times.
Absolutely. When you're in the eye of the storm, or when you're in the storm, you don't understand. You're just like, whoa, life had this for me.
Mhm.
Like yourself, right? You never envisioned all these things happening to you, right? But
Mm-mm.
right. And so when you're in the storm of it, you're like, what is going on? Right. But then after, when you look back, it's like, wow, because I went through that, I can now help this person. Now I could see
Mhm.
it this way. Right. And you now have a channel that you are like being a blessing to, you don't know how many people,
Mhm.
you have
So
no
it's like
idea.
you just have to get through. It's just a matter of getting through those hard moments and those hard times, staying in there, hanging in there, like doing whatever it takes to like change your state in those times and like getting through those times because those hard times don't last. And there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Those hard times don't last. And then like I'm a big believer, like, the lower you go through depression and hard times, like the higher you'll propel through like the good times. And life has a way of balancing things out. And like good times are coming, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's having faith, it's being able to believe in something that you don't see,
Mm-hmm.
right? And and what you see is, again, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to get out of this. I'm so grateful for my two beautiful little girls. I'm so grateful for, and just focusing on what you do have, the beautiful blessings. And before you know it, you're right, it's behind us.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, it's easier said than done, right? When you're in the middle, if you had that diagnosis, or you're in the middle
Mm-hmm.
of the divorce or whatever that is, right? It's so much easier said than done. But that's when God has given you the capacity to be greater than your environment, be greater than your environment, and fantasize, dream, imagine. So many of us, we don't do that anymore. I now dream big. And like I said, I have these plans that if I would have even like said them out, I'd be like, oh, how foolish. And now it's like, no, what's
Mm-hmm.
the big deal? Why can't I dream
Yeah,
big?
there's no limits. It's just the
There's
limits
no
we put on
limit.
ourselves. We need to be like little kids and dream big. Like my little daughter you just saw. She's a master manifester. She's the best manifester I've ever seen in my life, and she's 5.5. And she gets people just literally bring her gifts all the time. She gets everything. She just literally believes it, and she knows the world is a safe place, and everything just comes to her.
You see how beautiful that
And that's why I
experience.
think it's important if we can to be the best mother we can. I think it's just one of the most important roles on the planet, because I think if we nurture our children so much and make them feel safe and like their environment is safe and the world is safe, then they just have, and they can manifest things and attract things and do fun things and live a fun life. If they see that, then they just automatically think like life is fun, life is safe, I'm going to be okay. Rather than
Yes,
if we come into the world with trauma and stress, then we feel like scared, fearful. Is this world safe? Like, oh my goodness. And like all those traumas and beliefs, subconscious things we have to work on then, right?
absolutely, because we create their environment. Like I had
Hmm.
mentioned earlier, how we're the ones that start pouring into them and programming them. So
Mm-hmm.
imagine your daughter, how beautiful her atmosphere, her environment of having a mom that's always pouring, beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
truly lovely things in her. That's her belief. So
Mm-hmm.
now she goes about, and her analytical part of her brain, that's what true is. That's what it is. That's just how I do life. So she's unfiltered. She attracts everything that is
Mm-hmm.
aligned to that belief, that safety, that love, that
Mm-hmm.
security,
Safe.
you know?
We want to feel safe, you know? Even as a 41-year-old woman, like I want to feel safe. We want to feel safe, you know?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. That's all we want to do, is feel safe. And our brain is for us for survival,
Mm-hmm.
and the brain master house, depending on our minds and our thoughts, our mind is the one that activates our brain. So if our
Mm-hmm.
mind is healthy, then, you know, you can do a 34 truths. You can eat
Mm-hmm.
raw for,
Yeah.
a type,
Look at you. And how long do you think you're going to go?
Gillian, I want to do 40 days.
Okay, so I'm wondering, is there anything else that you want to share with the audience that you think we've missed about your juice fast? Like anything that comes to mind, maybe any common questions people have been asking you, or anything at all that you think you want to share? And then if you want to let everybody know where they can find you as well, then please do so, and I'll link it down below. And
Okay,
you've been
absolutely.
amazing to have on. I just want to say I think you're amazing, and thank you for coming on.
To really, why are you, if you're attempting to do a fast, what are the reasons behind doing the fast? It might start like health wise, but if it's just health wise, it's not going to last. Well, no, let me put it this way. If it's something that it's more like, oh, like a fad, or
Mhm.
I want to lose weight or something like that. And I don't want to be general, because I'm pretty sure that there's many people that, that's their driving force, right? I want to fit into the size 6 or whatever. But in reality, if you want this to be a long lasting way of living, because after the juice fast, you're going to have to go back to
Mhm.
reality. And what is
True.
that reality? Going back and eating what got you into wanting to fast the first place.
Mhm.
Everything's going to transform. Everything's going to change. You're in a whole, like you said, we're going to be in a whole different state of being. And sometimes that happens. Not everyone that you began with is going to be there at the end. And when you said, like what other people, I don't know, you mentioned something about the other people around you. What are the other people, what did they say, or how did they help? I don't know. You mentioned something about the people around me.
Mhm.
Well, you know what, Gillian? I don't have people around me,
Mhm.
and this is why your channel was so important to me, because that was a community. Those were my friends.
Mm.
Right? And so when you do this by yourself, it's lonely. It really is lonely. And I wish that more people would have a better understanding that, oh, that's a, you know, eating disorder, or, they see it more like that. And you really don't find the support and the encouragement outside of my husband and a couple of handful of people that are not in my life, like physically, but more of just like, through these, how can I say, these, oh, where, online, like Zoom,
Mhm.
and people that you meet on social media. Outside of that, there really isn't anyone around me that I could say that
Well,
I
good
could.
for you. So it shows if you can do it and stick to 34 days like that, anybody can do it, you know? And even though you haven't had like a huge circle of people around you, are you still glad you did it though? Are you still glad you've done it?
Oh, yes, over and over again. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, way to go. Like you're blooming, you're glowing. You've done amazing and it's just taking you even farther places spiritually, I feel like clearly and all the physical improvements, like how amazing. That's huge, epic, like, just amazing to have that stuff come back in reverse and feel so much better in all those areas. So I just want to say like keep going. It's amazing if that's right for you. Like
Yes,
and
yes,
I
it is.
support you on your path.
Thank you so much. No, and I'm completely looking forward to how this is going to look after I stop the fast, and how I could motivate and perhaps inspire others, encourage others to, you know, to lean into this.
Mhm.
and to change also their current reality if they're not
Mhm.
happy with their current reality. Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. And improve it, make things better. That's what we're all about on this channel. Well, this has been amazing. Thank you for coming on. You've blown me away. You just have so much depth to you, so much spirituality. I've loved getting to know you more, connecting with you, hear your story. You're so well spoken. And like I said, you're so beautiful. And this
Oh.
has been such an amazing experience. I'm so happy to hear. And thank you for coming on and sharing and for being so open.
Oh.
And do you want me to post your socials down below? Is it okay if people contact you, go follow you? Where should they look? And I'll post it below.
Absolutely. Well, I have an Instagram, the one where I
Yeah.
follow you. It's called Evolved, and let me look
I'll
it up.
link it. I'll link it below. Yeah,
Thank you.
so
Thank you.
that'll be easier. That'll be where people look anyway. So look in the description box, everybody. I'll link everything for Gabby down below. Go follow her. Give her some love in the comments down below. Tell me what your favorite part of this video is. If you gained any value, let me know where that was in the comments down below. And I will put two amazing things on the screen right now. I will put the Sarah Eric interview we were talking about, where she juiced for a year after having major health problems. Her journey is just incredible. What a story. And I'll also put a juicing playlist on the channel, and I'll put a discount code down below. If you guys want my favorite juicer ever, the 𝒔𝒂𝒗2, it's amazing. You guys can save $55 on one with my code Gillian10. Did you use that one or a different one?
No, but I'm manifesting that one. I am.
Yeah, it's
I don't know how it's
amazing.
gonna come. It's gonna come.
It's so good. So I'll link the code down below and go watch the videos on the screen. Get yourself the best juicer, code Gillian10 down below. And I love you guys. Be sure to subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.